Alrighty, now to get this over with, this is your first and only spoiler warning until chapter 144 of the manga of Jujutsu Kaisen. If you're not caught up, do not watch this video. Thank you very much, that's the only warning I will give. Also, in no way, shape, or form am I any type of professional manga/anime reviewer. This is just a monkey recollecting his thoughts after reading a manga. Now, as someone who got into Jujutsu Kaisen by watching the anime, I actually wanted to wait for a potential season 2. That hasn't been announced yet. What is that about? Anyway, I kept that mindset of not wanting to read the manga until the beginning of the death painting arc. As I was watching the first episode of the 3-episode arc, I noticed a shift in tone, or more widening his perspective, and it mostly came from Megumi's sister reveal and the curse she carries with her. Now you might be thinking, wow, he's got a sister, not a big deal. Well, while revealing one's sister might not be all too crazy, it does open a metaphorical gate that hadn't even been touched at this point. And because Megumi is my favorite character, of course after Sukuna, curiosity got the better of me and I jumped right into the manga. But not at the start, but literally where the episode left off. Yeah, that might have been kinda stupid. As I was reading the manga, I made notes to anything I could critique, and the first and only thing I wrote almost immediately was, and I quote, "I don't understand what the fuck is going on." You know what I meant by that? You really want to know what I meant by that? I meant that the manga panels were too confusing. These are the panels I was referring to.
Hey yo, what the fuck?
Looking back at it, I was probably only searching for something to critique, because as we'll see later, I went on to absolutely love the art of Jujutsu Kaisen. But nothing, not even a spoiler, could have prepared me for the stunning arc that was the arc of Gojo's past. Because everyone here has hopefully read the arc, I'm not going to recite the entire thing. What I'm going to do is show you the moments that absolutely stood out to me. Our first glimpse at Fushigoro's dad, Toji, comes in chapter 66, where he instantly says, "I go by Fushigoro now," after being called Zenin. What I personally was thinking, this is either the biggest coincidence of all time, or... Now this short conversation is significant, not only because this confirms that we're finally meeting more of Megumi's family, but also that Megumi has ties with the Zenin family, and that they're related somehow. Also, when asked how his kid Megumi is doing, he literally does not know who Megumi is, which instantly made me dislike Toji, not as a character, but as a person, which will be very important for later. Now being honest, I can't straight up say that the escorting of Riko Amanai, the Star Plasma vessel, was particularly special, although I really enjoyed the dynamic Geto and Gojo shared, which furthered the question how they ended up on different sides. But escorting Riko was necessary because after Gojo and Squad defeat the minions and they think they're safe, Toji finally appears in combat with the biggest entry I've ever seen, by stabbing Gojo, the strongest sorcerer known to us. Of course, we knew that he wouldn't die because he's still alive and kicking in the present, but the thought of Gojo even being touched at that stab was completely alien to me. And as Toji was absolutely rocking Gojo's shit, I was thinking, okay, you kinda have to stop now. I don't think this is scripted. Is this scripted? I don't know. But he went on stabbing Gojo in the throat, killing Riko, also nearly killing Geto. Riko's death was really surprising, and I think the author could have added on to it instead of saying a new vessel had already been born. While Toji was selling Riko's body, I was thinking that the arc was over, but then Gojo was just standing there, menacingly. And this ironically is where I started to emphasize with Toji. Not only does he look absolutely shocked, he looks terrified. The only reason why Toji destroyed Gojo earlier was because Gojo lowered his guard, but now it was an honest fight, and I think everyone knew how this was going to end. Even Toji. Toji comes out swinging with what it looks like to be his absolute best, but he doesn't even touch Gojo once, before Gojo blasts him away with his reverse rotation technique, Red. After being swept away for meters on end, he tries to kill Gojo with all his strength, only for it to be futile against the Honored One, as he uses his imaginary technique, Purple. I'm not going to go into the whole Honored One topic. What I would like to do is dive into Toji's final moments. As he was standing there with half of his torso missing, he was asked by Gojo if he had any final words. At first he said no, but in his final moments he thought of his kid Megumi and how he'd be sold to the Zenin family if nothing were to be done. With the final panel of the last page ending with the sentence, "What broke then was the heart," leaving this desire in me to get to know more about Toji. Unfortunately, we don't get to see Toji again until the Shibuya incident arc, because we skip to 1 year in the future where we see what motivated Geto to become a racist against his own race.
So what, you fat, you ugly, and you stink, monkey? Shut up with your ugly ass. What you think you doing in my country?
Believing that the strong shouldn't protect the weak, and if every non-sorcerer were to be erased, there wouldn't be any curses, improving the human race by a landslide. It's fascinating to see how Geto's and Gojo's perspective on things literally inverse at the end of the arc, with Gojo's perspective being that the weak should be protected, which is the opposite of what he was saying at the beginning of the arc, and Geto's being that the weak should be eradicated eradicated, being a stark difference from what he was saying at the beginning of the arc. All in all, this arc was really interesting and fascinating to read, especially Gojo's early Jujutsu sorcerer career and his development as a human, while also giving us crucial information for later in the story, like how crazy strong Gojo is or Megumi's ties in the Jujutsu world. Now the Shibuya Incident arc could be its own video, but again I'll present you with the moments that stood out. First is Gojo being sealed. I think we all knew that at one point or another something had to be done about Gojo, with him being a literal god and all. Plus I thought the Gojo past arc was setting up Gojo being killed, since we know now that it is possible for Gojo to die if his head is cut off. So I was expecting something to be done about him eventually, but I never could have expected it to happen this soon in the story. Of course getting rid of him was a smart decision because having him around all the time would lower the stakes to basically zero. But it was definitely unexpected and made me worry about the safety of some characters. Speaking of Gojo, him absolutely decimating Hanami and Jogo was really eye-opening, because reaching back onto the anime, I rewatched the Itadori and Todo versus Hanami fight only a couple days before reading the manga, and they struggled for their fucking lives. And here we have this child in an adult body not only manhandling Hanami, but also castrating Jogo at the same time, hammering down again how out of reach Gojo is for everyone. Also Gojo weighing down the seal was also pretty neat. I have nothing to add to that. Toji being able to break out of the shapeshift ability was cool and all, but what I was more interested in is the fact that Toji refrained from attacking Megumi and offed himself after confirming that he wasn't sold to the Zenin family, and looking rather relieved while doing it. Basically confirming that we will see more of Toji in the future because we still know so little about him. But honestly, I thought this would be how Toji re-enters the world and how we get to know more about him. Yuji eating 10 more fingers, therefore having 15 in total, sets up my favorite manga page in Jujutsu Kaisen. But it was also pretty sad because it speeds up the story heavily and makes it end faster. And I don't want this series to end, goddammit. Now about that favorite manga page of mine. It's in Jogo's final moments when Sukuna says, "Stand proud, you're strong." To which Jogo replies by crying. This is where I started to notice how good the artistic choices of Akutami are. In this entire manga page, nothing is visible. Nothing exists out of the conversation between them. Nothing is more important than the sentence uttered by Sukuna, the curse Jogo worships. For Jogo, someone revealed earlier to be very sensitive about his strength. This compliment was everything. Nothing could replace what Sukuna had gave him in that moment. There's just so much I love about this page, and it will stay up there as one of my favorite manga pages of all time. After killing Nanami, in a tragic way I might add, Mahito in the fight with Itadori seemed really different. If you compare him to himself early in the story, he appears more cocky. Now for the final moment, and if you really thought I was going to exclude this, I don't know what the fuck to think of you. Nobara being killed and the consequences. After Nobara's death at the hands of Mahito, a typical shonen fan, including me, would think this is where Itadori gets a random power up and rocks Mahito's shit. Well no, after having one of his closest friends die, he doesn't randomly get stronger. He acts like every one of us would do. He cries. He grieves. Because of his grieving, he's not at his best, and almost dies if it weren't for Todo. Luckily, Itadori moves his feelings aside to defeat Mahito, but with Mahito's defeat comes a drastic change in personality, which looks to be a serious demeanor, which he still currently has in the most recent chapters. Also something that was really unexpected was Geto consuming Mahito, because personally I thought Mahito was going to be the end boss of the series, but I guess not. I guess it's Geto. Which I'm all here for. Some might say Sukuna's the final boss. I guess you're right. I don't know where the fuck the story is going. But Geto being the semi-final boss, I'm also here for. Alright guys, that's it for the video. I kept out a lot of stuff because I don't want this video to be all too long. But I'm really excited to where the story is headed with the new Culling Game arc. Anyways, hope you guys enjoyed. Have a great day or night. And I'll see you guys when I see you. Bye guys.